Welcome back to another episode of Survive the Culture Podcast. I'm your host, DJ, and today's episode will have you ready for tunes. So, today's episode, our special guest is none other than 2 in the morning. Today, we will be talking about his music journey, how he got into music, some of the things that motivates him, how he's currently running his own studio for any artist out there who wants to work with him. You will also find his link in the description of the video. You will also be able to just work with him. He's someone who can sing, he can rap, he can produce beats. He pretty much does it all. You know what I mean? So I hope you guys and girls enjoy this interview just as much as I enjoyed making it. Shall we get started? All right, so what we're gonna do is get straight into it. So what I would like to start off by talking about is, how was it for you in your childhood? Like, can you just describe to us how it was in your childhood?
Um, so I grew up with seven siblings. I'm the eighth one. I'm a middle child. So I usually get away with things, and sometimes I don't. But growing up, I lost my father at the age of 4. Um, then my family, my mom kind of got involved with alcohol and stuff, but she's staying clean and stuff like that. So I'm pretty proud of her for that. Um, but yeah, man, when I was in high school, like my freshman year, I was living in foster home after foster home after foster home. And, I started making music as an outlet to deal with my emotions and the stuff I was going through at the time.
Like, even in my case, I feel like music is just something that is needed. Like, it's necessary. Like for you, what would life be without music, in your opinion?
I probably would be working a job I don't want to work, or I don't know. I feel like music is truly what saves me from doing a lot of bad things to myself, because I went to depression and anxiety, and I wasn't eating. I was grieving with my father's death, and I was just so out of it, and just listening to Tupac and Biggie and Eminem and Jay-Z is what really like inspired me to just be the person I am today.
Do you remember the first time you made, I guess, your first song?
um uh I mean, there's two first songs, like first song putting it out on the internet, or first song like I've ever performed.
Um, how about we give both? What were the two for both of them?
Okay, so it was my freshman year. I was I tried out for this event, whatever, boom, I made it. Then we got the chance to perform. Well, myself, I got the chance to perform in like a high school auditorium, and the song was called "Can You Hear Me?" And that's such an old song. I believe that was like 2010. That was, yeah, 2010, 2010, 2011 when I performed that. And then the first song I ever put out was actually with you, and we did a music video on your old balcony, and we dropped it on Facebook.
Yeah, I remember that. Those was actually some
Progress.
good times, man. So, question for people who don't know: did you start off making music, or was it beat producing at first?
Oh yeah, I started off as a producer first. I've been making beats since I was like in the sixth or seventh grade.
We're saying that. What is something you feel like you bring differently to the producers? Like, what makes your beats different? Like what makes it sound different than other people's?
I'm not afraid to get creative. I'm not afraid to just make my own sound. I feel like every producer nowadays, they're just trying to mimic an artist. They do the type beats and I don't really do that.
Not even just in this particular situation, is a lot of producers, once they get to a certain point, they kind of take away from what made them their self, in the sense like they forget about, I guess, all the struggles that they went through, and it's like, okay, let me just do this because this is what's in right now.
What's popular? Yeah, yeah.
So how, my question to you would be, how do you avoid, getting into that?
Well, honestly, I'm not really producing beats to make income. I'm really producing beats to just be able to make music because I also play instruments and I engineer on the side as well. So like I have other ways to make money, but I usually just produce beats for myself and just people like other artists that are around me and stuff, like in my circle.
With saying that, do you feel like doing music has provided you with stuff that like opportunities that you maybe have not had if you didn't do music?
Oh yeah, of course, because I'm running my own studio now, so I'm currently recording very popular New Jersey artists and stuff. So I'm like getting my foot in the door, connecting and networking with them. So hopefully I get a placement with them, and
Let's talk about your very first. Let's go with your first mixtape. What's the process like for you to create music?
um when it comes to mixtapes, I usually or just projects in general, I usually try to have like a concept. I dropped an album in 2015 when I was in college, and a lot of the music that I was putting on each track was each individual track was about my personal life, my personal issue, and just staying consistent with what I like, who I am as an artist.
Got you. How do you? What's your process as far as like choosing features, choosing how many songs you want on the project?
Hmm. You know, I like to take a DJ Khaled approach to it. If you know like what he does, he usually just puts random people on it, but he makes sure like they sound like very well, that they complement each other and stuff. I usually make sure that the artists I put on my records are gonna either complement me or another feature that I have.
Do you have like a favorite project as of now? Like it could be any project. Do you have one that you look back like, wow, I'm really proud of that one?
Um, I'm gonna have to say Project Thursday. It was an album I did with my homie the Jaws,
Mm.
and every Thursday we made it a goal to hit the studio and just make as much songs as possible. Boom, 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 every Thursday. Then we just decided like, oh, what are we gonna name the project? And I'm like, yo, we linked up every Thursday, so let's just call it Project Thursday, and it really correlated together.
You know, it's funny you say that. So, what do you feel like is the difference between running a studio versus like paying someone to go, record at their studio?
Excellent question. So running a studio and having my own studio versus just going to someone else's studio. I feel like when you're going to someone else's studio, like you're there for a specific reason and you're being timed. Like you're just feeling
Mm,
rush, 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 rush just to get before the hour's done. But having my own studio, I feel like I can just sit down, hang out, relax, do what I have to do to get inspired.
it's especially like being in certain studios where you don't have that. At least for me, like you don't have that real connection with the engineer. So it's kind of like, and that's so crucial. What would some advice be that you would give to someone who wants to be in your shoes, like someone who's growing up, like I want to do music as an outlet? What's some advice you would give to them?
Always work on your craft. Always work on your craft. Like doesn't matter how long it is. You always want to make sure you practice every single day. Especially if you feel like one day you want to take music like as a serious career. You always want to perfect your craft, and even then, every day, every day people are still getting better, learning new things. So you always want to make it an aim to practice what you're trying to do.
See, because my question is like, how everyone struggles when they first start making music. We all like
Yeah,
everyone does.
at one
So
point, yeah.
what were some things you did in order to get better? Like whether it be write in a different way, it could be anything. So what are some ways that you've done something that helps you get better as a musician?
I like to listen to a lot of other artists to see how they approach music. like Eminem. I definitely listen to a lot of Eminem. I see how he puts his rhymes in, his rhymes out. It's like every artist is like that I hear personally is different, and they bring something different to the table. So I learn how to do this from them, and then from another artist I learn how to do that or this, that, and the third.
I have a good question actually. A lot of people
So
ask this, and I know everyone's list changes all the time. But you know we have to ask this list. Who's on your top 5 list all time?
dead or, dead or alive,
Dead or alive, your top
dead
5.
or alive,
Yes,
in
sir.
order or in order.
It don't have to be in order, but just your top
Oh,
5.
okay, Biggie, Jay-Z, Tupac, Eminem, and Lil Wayne.
Ooh, that list is. Ooh, I like that list right there. That's a nice list right there, honestly. And it's good that you came up with it on the spot because every time someone asks me, I just be like, I don't know. Because my list changes every day. It's like, okay, 1 minute he's on this, the next minute he's not. So it's good that you say
Yeah.
that. And even transitioning into that. So I know you sing now. So my question is, how did you even get into that? And how'd you get so good at it, honestly? Because I remember when we started, I'm like, okay, I see where you was going with it, but my question is, how'd you get so good, and what got you into singing?
What really got me into singing was listening to artists like The Weeknd, Party Next Door, Bryson Tiller. It was an era. I remember it was like 2016, and I started producing similar beats like that. I'm like, ooh, let me just try to go for this feel real quick, and then I laid my vocals over it. And since I engineer my own work, I'm like, oh, this actually sounds pretty good. So I decided to actually put records out like that, and now I'm getting a fan base off of it. I got the confidence now to sing in public and stuff like that. So
I want to transition a little. Let's go to high school, right? Do you have a favorite memory, whether it's music related or not, of high school? Like how was it for you, your experience?
my favorite memory of high school. It actually would be performing for the Urban Culture Club, the club that we were in high school.
Hey. I like that. I like that. Do you okay, so my next question would be which one? Do you have a favorite show, a favorite performance? Cuz
Hmm.
you was an OG in that even before I started. So we know you got to have a favorite
Oh,
one.
I'll tell you, I know exactly which one. The Don't Play one. Perform that beat drop, everyone started going crazy.
What year was that? 2013? I can't
That
remember.
was it was I think it was 2014.
Okay.
Was it no wait, was it our last year?
I
I think it
don't
was
know.
our last year.
It was either 13 or 14. But I know, because you know, it's crazy, funny story, and I never shared this. I remember, I think it was like open mic 2. I had spoke to you about it, and I was like, listen, I really want to get into this. And I remember we had took that, it was like an iconic picture for me. Like sometimes I even look at it till this day, I'm like, wow, that was dope. Like oh, yo, you know what? Matter of fact, you know what I'm thinking about? Remember when we used to do ciphers, like back when they did that before, like all the new artists came on. Remember when we used to do ciphers in the lock, like the changing rooms?
Yeah.
Yo, that was crazy. That was like the really, I guess, peak of Urban Culture Club. Cause to me, I think the peak of it was that 2013-14, like between them two. Because after that, like I remember going to the shows after we graduated, and I was just like, "This different, this different." You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that was like
Yeah.
the tradition for us. Like it's like, all right, we knew we had a show, we all in the back freestyling, whatever the case is. But my question is, like who did you talk to get into Urban Culture Club?
The guy that ran it, the teacher that ran the show. I
Okay,
was looking at one of his signs that he posted at the wall, and that he just happens to walk by. He's like, "Oh, you should sign up for that. That's my club." And I'm like, "Okay, I got you." There's a meeting on
wow.
whatever day he said it was, and I showed up.
Was okay. My question is, was this before we had to like, I guess, try out for it?
Yeah, there was no auditions,
Wow, there was no auditions. Oh man,
no auditions at
wow.
all.
You see, and that's funny because I look at all of the open mics and I'm just like, wow, this was one of my favorite times because even like for me when I performed after graduating high school, it didn't have that same feeling as high school. Like being in that environment, seeing like I don't know, it's just hard to explain. But the next thing I would ask, right, is when you did perform, how did you, I guess, mentally prepare for it? Like, like what went through your mind before you even walked on stage?
Honestly, what really goes through my mind before I go on stage is, do I remember my lyrics?
Mm.
Because I can't go on stage and then I just started speaking jibber jabber, and it's just like, oh no, I messed up, and then I wasn't noticeable. And I always try to make sure before I hit the stage that I'm prepared, like emotionally and mentally before I hit the stage, because people are gonna remember who you are in school, and they're gonna make fun of me, and it's like I didn't want to get bullied because like my performance was trash, or like, so I always made sure, like, before I hit the stage, I'm like, do I know my lyrics? Do I know my lyrics? I'm constantly like listening to it in my head, back and forth, back and forth.
Has that ever happened where you did perform and forgot the lyrics?
Hmm. Um, I don't think so, to be honest. Thinking back, I don't think so.
Because so like for me, right? For example, let's say I don't know if you remember when we did. I think it was what was it Relay for Life, and then they had us performing like at I don't know. It was like what 2 in the morning
Four
or
in the
something.
morning,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was some crazy time, and I'm like, yo, I just want to go to bed. Yo, you
yeah.
know what is funny? The whole Relay for Life thing. Remember that was when you made your infamous dance, bro. Do you remember that?
The cockroach.
My boy made a whole dance. Like this is when I forgot what was the trend that was popping at the time. What was it? The Harlem Shake. I think that's what it was. Like,
No, it was. I think it was the Harlem Shake, but at the same time too, that French Montana song was popping, and they had that Jersey Club remix.
mm, that's what it was. And then that whole night was so much like it was just hilarious, man. Like I don't know about you, but for me, I feel like high school was so much better than college. Like I don't know if you have that same experience. I guess everyone's experience is different, but I feel like just we did so much in high school. Like I look back at it like, wow, I wish I could go back. Does that ever happen to you?
Sometimes, but like in college too, I was a little active in like some of the clubs there, and I did some performances too in college too. But it really didn't compare, because in college it's like an audience of 20 people, or like the ones at high school, it had like 200, 300 people, so it was like the vibe is
Yo,
totally different.
it was like I think about it now how like people these days have so much access to social media. Like because back then it wasn't as popping as it is now. Like now, it's like that's all people use, and I'm like, these
Yeah.
people are like they're so lucky that they're coming up in a. And I'm not saying it's like we're that old or anything like that, but it's different than when we were in high school. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like times have changed. But even with getting into that, I want to transition a little bit into current events because I feel like that's the most necessary to really talk about.
Honestly, I really hate what's really going on because you look back at the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's of the world, you see that this was 50 plus years ago where racism still like was like in in the world and in the United States, and it just sucks how 50 years later it's still an issue, and it's going on in the police force, and it's more like towards the south too, and it sucks how people are defending the police officers that are abusing their power and stuff. People call it police brutality. In my opinion, I call it murder. Just
Mm.
because you have a gun and a badge doesn't really mean anything. I believe that people need to start taking accountability of their actions, especially the police officers. Police officers are not exempt from the law at all. They have to obey the law as well.
So much, it's just so much really that could be said about it. That my question is just like, where do we start? Because it's so much that needs to be done.
You know what's crazy too is I hate how people are saying, "Oh, these thugs are out here rioting, this, that, and the third." But like the Black Lives Matter, we've tried to protest peacefully. We've kneeled in football games. It's the American flag. We protested peacefully, and it didn't really get us anywhere. Now we have to make our voices heard. That's why they're rioting and they're going crazy because they feel like justice needs to be served, and it does.
Facts, and I hope that we get something
It's
out of this.
2020. It's 20.
It is.
Honestly,
It is. It is. And you know what the crazy part about it is? Even with all of this, I feel like their opinion is their opinion. You know what I'm saying? All the racist people still gonna be racist. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I want it to come to a point in time where this is not normal. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to feel like even like with you being Hispanic, like it should not be a point where it's like we ever feel unsafe going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, and especially like in my case, I don't want to have to walk inside a store and I have to worry about, oh, this person following me. They're watching to see if I take something. Like, that's not fun. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't go outside every day expecting
yeah,
stuff like that because it's just not enjoyable. But I know there's a long way that we have to go. Like, they were doing a protest in, I believe, Newark, and it was a peaceful protest.
yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's not taken away from all of the people who's looting and stuff. But my only thing would be is not to hurt the black and Spanish businesses. Not, you know what I'm saying? Like, because especially like that's in your community. You're gonna need this at some point. And I know they say, oh yeah, we all have like people that can help pay for it and all of that type of stuff. Like they got insurance. But think about how long it's gonna take to build that back up. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And when they're taking away from our business, that's my only issue. You know what I mean? And the main issue I really have is with the news, because they keep putting these like every time I turn on the news, it's always someone who's of color that's doing some type of crime. They never show like if a white person is like throwing a brick at a cop car, burning down. Like, why is it
They're
such
not showing that.
and it's happening, but they don't want to. It's like they, you know what it is? They control what we see. If we don't see it, it's like it's never happened, and that's the problem. It should not be like that. It's I just get so frustrated. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's a topic that really needs to be talked about. But what I would ask you is, what are some things? And I don't know if you know the answer, but I'm gonna ask anyway. What are some other ways you think we could do it? Being that peaceful, like, is not always working.
I feel like people need to be protesting the government buildings, the government states where the laws, where they make the laws. I feel like they should be protesting in Washington D.C. because if they were to loot in Washington D.C., they hmm, they have a better chance of getting their voice heard, especially being in an area that puts these government officials in danger. If these
Uh,
government officials are in danger, then they're probably going to want to listen to what the people have to say. These government official people, they're supposed to be serving us.
I agree. You know what? I would say what people need to do is all of the riot, like not rioting, all of the looting. Like, and one thing I don't like is people, especially like Caucasian people, who's just doing it just to get free shit. Like, excuse my language, but I don't like when I see stuff like that. When people using it as an opportunity to just go in stores and take stuff. I say all of that to say what we need to be doing is really going out there and voting. All of this stuff is not going to matter if they're still in the same position. If they still have all of these people that's DAs, that's judges, that's whatever position. If we're not voting, ain't nothing going to change. And that's simple how it is. That's just it's that simple. If we're not out there voting, people still gonna be the same thing. You're gonna be charged the same way you charge now. And it just sucks that, the same issues that they were dealing with like decades ago, they're still dealing with. And it's like it's frustrating. Like, people don't understand why everyone's in such a riot. These are years of being unheard. That's why I say I'm not.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I don't condone burning down buildings and stuff like that. But if that's how you get your point across, then that's just how you get your point across. You know what I mean? But in closing, I feel like there's so much work we still have to do, and in order to get that done, it just got to be in steps, and that's just how it is. Small steps, big steps. We just got to get to the end.
yeah.
Last thing. So I know we spoke about music, we spoke about school, we spoke about being, a producer, we spoke about the police brutality. What are your future plans? And we'll end it with that. Like, what are some things that you're working on, whether it be a project, what are some anything in general that you have working on or that you want to do in the future?
So hopefully I can drop a project in July. Um, I want to drop like an actual R&B inspired project, which just all R&B, not just rap and singing. I just wanted to be all R&B. Hopefully I can get my tracks done on time. I want to do more music videos. And I was planning a tour before this coronavirus outbreak happened, and I was supposed to go on tour this summer, but unfortunately, we had to stay in quarantine and stuff like that. But it's okay. I'm gonna bounce back. Um, my long-term goal too is, since I'm running a music studio, I would like to record more artists. Hopefully, get better equipment. I definitely do want to start recording artists that are not even from Jersey as well. Bigger artists from New York, bigger artists from Florida, Texas, Cali, anywhere. It doesn't really matter. I just want to be the to-go-to engineer and stuff. And, I do want to make a name for myself as an artist as well. So, yeah, hopefully I can do all that.
Do you ever see yourself managing people, like managing artists?
I actually do manage an artist. She's from the United Kingdom. I have a music video with her out now and stuff. So
All right, now that you said that, where can he find your music? Like, what's your YouTube or Instagram? How can they contact you?
all you have to do is search 2 a.m. in the morning, no spaces, all together.
Mm. Look, y'all heard it here first. Is there anything else we didn't cover that you want to talk about?
Well, I just want to say to the people, spread positivity and love always.
Oh, my boy ending it with the gym. You know what? I don't even gotta close it out. We're just gonna close it out with that one. Like I said, hey, bro, I appreciate you being a part of this episode so much. Like, it means a lot to me
No
from
problem,
when
bro.
we first started, for you influencing me into doing music. Just like you played a pivotal role in my life, as far as like I feel like you kind of got me to where I am as far as like music goes, because when I first started, I didn't I had no guidance. It was like, okay, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but let me try something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I just want to thank you, and let the world know, like,
bro.
yo, this guy had a real influence on my life with that. And with that being said, man, I hope everybody over there is safe. You feel me? Like, I hope everyone's staying, Rona free, and I hope at some point we could get back to our regular scheduled program.